Happy 16th of June, 2026, everyone. My name is Nico. I'm here with Shannon and Anna. We are all Tamales, and that's part of the Texas Assistive Technology Makers Alliance. We'll get into it, but yeah, we're the Texas Center for Disability Studies and specifically the Texas Technology Access Program. Next slide. All right, just a friendly reminder, we do have our Viva La Vida with AT conference. It'll be in October, right around Halloween time. So bring your technology, bring your costumes. It's always going to be a good time. There will always be tacos and refreshments to keep you sustained throughout the whole time. Bringing together providers, experts, and then also family members and anyone else that would like to attend this conference. There will be everyone there. Like I was saying, amazing spotlight presenters. We'll have a makerspace that mainly concerns us in this group. But then again, we'll have an exhibit hall showcasing all the latest and greatest AT. And then, okay, cool. Yes, please utilize the chat as much as you want to. That is a great way to communicate. And then also everyone double check your calendars. Every third Tuesday of every month we meet, 11:30 to 12:30. The next meeting is going to be the 21st of July. And then every year we will revisit, send out a survey to see what is the best time and day to meet. All right, so as I was saying before, we are Tamales. It's a Texas Makers Network, but it includes everyone from all walks, even internationally. We've gone internationally with a couple of our meetings. But yes, a Texas Makers Network that includes people with disabilities and makers collaborating to design unique tools and solutions that promote independence for everyone. And as always, a reminder, just to set the tone, assistive technology is always everywhere. Sensory, access, vision, hearing, communication, all the things. We use it every day, even in our little smartphones. So, all right. And then today's agenda, as always, we're going to do new connections. I think we maybe have one or two new connections. We're going to do kind of a Viva La Vida sneak peek with Ben. So that should be exciting. A soldering resource that Shannon is very excited about. So I'll touch upon that. And then also fabricating beyond school settings that Shannon and Anna will be telling you about. And then we'll turn the mic over to y'all to kind of share what you got going on, any success stories or challenges, whatever it may be. All right. So like we were saying, utilizing the chat is always great. But if you would like to come off mic, we are introducing new members right now. So what part of Texas or beyond are you from? How'd you hear about Tamales? What is your favorite maker tool? And then do you have a goal, maker goal specifically that you have been working on or that you're hoping to accomplish within the next year or so? Anything and all things count.
Hey guys, my name is Nathaniel Troxel. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. Me and my business partner, Zadrian Huerta, who's also on the call. We heard about tamales just by doing some online research. And then when it says maker tool, what is it referring to?
Yeah, so you can pick any kind of maker tool that is fabricating. So it could be a 3D printer. It could also be like a laser cutter, um, computer aided design. Not necessarily. It's a part of the process of fabrication.
Yeah, we've got
Nathaniel, Nathaniel,
yes,
if you
ma'am.
go back to that list that we had up there, our ultimate goal is creating opportunities for independence. And so it could be something 3D printed, it could be a wheelchair ramp, it could be mounts and things that are more mechanical, not necessarily something. There's a woman, Therese Wilcom, and she does everything low tech, but it's more about positioning because she's an occupational therapist. So we're looking at really bringing you as a maker together with somebody with a disability and really creating something that's meaningful that really gives that individual their own independence. Because a lot of the off-the-shelf tools are they end up going back on the shelf because they're uncomfortable, they're not personalized, they're not exactly what somebody's needs. So we get the makers working with the individuals with disabilities, and there's so many creative makers that really don't understand that there's such a need for the individuals with disabilities. And so our idea is just bringing people together, no matter what you make. Could be carpentry, it could be lowering counters for a house. So it's really anything that helps bring independence. And Hannah, I'll read yours off as soon as we let Nathaniel finish. So thank you, Nathaniel. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So we're in that maker space where we're making door automation systems for handicapped and disabled people. And as far as our favorite maker tool, we've got that's our 3D printer right there. I'm in the office right now. And what we utilize that for is we make rapid prototypes. So
Yeah.
when we test something, we like to get it in the hands of our end user. And so we have assumptions. I'm a fully able-bodied person, so we have assumptions that we make about how people would use our device, but we don't know until we go out and test it. So that's what we use. Right now, we're testing like the battery system, so it makes it easy for us to get rapid prototypes out there and test our assumptions.
That's exactly what we're looking for is how you're using something, and then how you're connecting to the individuals who are going to be the end user. And so our role in the tamales is there's so many great maker spaces around Texas. I've got a couple in the Houston area because I live in the Houston area. And it's really starting to bring us all together so that we've got the resources and we're all working in the same direction, and building on each other. So I want Texas to be the strongest maker state in the United States.
That's
Perfect.
fantastic. I love the goal.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead, and Hannah's on. And Hannah said, my name's Hannah. I work at the TTU. So that's TTU. You'll have to spell that out. I'm not sure of that acronym. 3D print items for individuals who are blind or low vision. And that's exactly what Ben is doing in Fort Worth. He's working with the vision impaired population. So you two do need to connect. Hannah says she's currently working on anatomy models because they don't know body structures well and have paired with an OTPT clinic with this project. And so, Hannah, I hope you can come to our conference and meet Tom Babinski, because that's exactly what he's doing is some 3D printed modeling. He is blind. He lives in Ohio, and he's going to have a table of tools at our conference. So, Hannah, I'd love to have you come to the conference next October because Ben will be there, and Ben's going to do a little talk, and then we'll have Tom Babinski there. We're going to have some really good maker tools there. Brian's going to be there with 3D printers, and game on. So thank you. Texas Tech University. Oh, okay. Oh, that one. No, I'm just teasing. We want everyone here. Texas Tech. Awesome. I love having you guys from way up there. And Jake's been doing some work, so fantastic. All right, moving forward, I'll turn it back over to Nico.
Yes, yeah, like we said, we're a state and makers alliance, but we go beyond that. So wherever you're from, we're happy to have you. Anyone else that is a new member? I'm not sure I see new members. At least I haven't been introduced already. I think we can go ahead for the next slide. All right, so teeing up for Ben Davidson, 10 years in special education up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He currently works at the ESC Region 11 as a statewide visually impaired and deaf-blind specialist, and we're kind of spotlighting him today. He's been to our Viva La Vida conference, I think the last 2 years. I think last year presented as well, and then potentially I think is presenting this year. But yeah, just spotlighting what he has going on up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So take it away, Ben.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. For the intro, Ben Davison, statewide visually impaired and deaf blind specialist, and AT is my jam. That is what I really focus on pushing out to all of our service centers across the state. And 3D printing is really one of my passions. So that's what I'm doing a session on, Prince Charming, bringing learning to life. We all know that the materials that we've got to purchase for our students, or really any student, they're not cheap. They're very expensive. So I went down the rabbit hole on how can I do this, but also save money and provide more things for my students. And here we go, 3D printing. So come to my session. It is all about easy ways to do this, how to save money and provide more materials for your students. Um, if you're in a service center, or if you're friends with somebody at the service center, or you know somebody at the service center, let them know I have the session. I've had a handful, more than a handful, but reach out, but our funds go quick. And I'm trying to get out and do these sessions to everybody and hopefully get everybody 3D printers to start making materials for the students.
I am gonna brag on Ben. Out of the 20 service centers in the state of Texas, he has really made it his mission in working with his VI specialists to get 3D printers in the hands of those specialists. Um, Now his goals, my goals are different. I want school maker groups to start making for the individuals, not for them, with them. But sometimes that's not practical. So Ben's taking it a step farther and actually getting the 3D printers in the hands of the VI specialists, getting them the training that they need so that if a student is going to a science lesson tomorrow and they need some kind of, as Hannah was talking about, anatomy part, the 3D printer, the bamboo, they can start building a library and they can just put in, oh, we need the shape of a heart or how to put the stomach parts together. And then you can print that. Or we need a solar system so that they get a feel for how the skies align. They can do some of that. And a lot of these are free open source print patterns. And Ben is just kind of bridging that gap of getting it from the the minds to the actual hands of the students. So it's a really cool project that he's working on.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
And I'm a
Ben,
little bit obsessed with 3D printers. I started out with one, y'all, from the service center, and I'm up to I have 14 now, and I keep finding them, and people have them. If you look on Facebook Marketplace though too, they have them broken. And I'm like, I'll fix it. I'll tinker with it. That sounds like fun. Yeah, just a little bit obsessed, just a little bit. But it's all for the students, and that's what I'm here for.
but you're taking that obsession and you're sharing it and you're pushing it out and you get people excited about it. So anybody, Ben has recently, I'm going to brag on him. He's trained at, he was just at Region 4, and I hear nothing but wonderful things about his training. So he's simplifying because people, especially your OTs, PTs, they get a little overwhelmed. And Ben is simplifying it and really making it practical for people. And as the price point of the 3D printers comes down, he's really bridging that gap. And we need more of that. So thank you, Ben.
Thank you guys. Thank y'all.
All right.
Of
Moving
course,
forward,
yeah.
Nico.
Yeah. No, Ben, you're such a leader in this space. I really appreciate you being here every week or every month. Um, so this next resource is Shannon got a little giddy. If y'all are recently getting to know Shannon, her fabrication journey has been very much spotlighted on soldering, because it's been kind of a mysterious thing to her so far as fabrication goes. And so what she did is she discovered this resource is by no means new, and it's available in multiple languages, about 12 or so languages. It's just a very simplified, accessible Word PDF document demystifying the soldering process. Um, and so going through it, I mean, just black text on white, very much visual aids to show you how to do it step by step. For me, at least, like I've soldered once, but obviously the aspect of heating up elements, well, I've soldered to do jewelry and stuff, but so far as doing electronic circuitry, this is kind of a how-to guide. because it's a lot different than just soldering metal and to fabricate jewelry and all that. So check it out. It's very cool, very intuitive. You do it with your students that you're working with. It's on our Padlet. So please check it out. I don't know if Shannon, you want to talk about it more. I know you're
Well,
such a
it's just,
geek about
it
soldering.
talks, it, I've been soldering, and it's really fine tuning. I'm working with the maker group in Houston now, and they're helping me with the soldering also. But soldering, like 3D printing, is actually not as hard as it looks. And once I opened that door and I started doing it, I felt a lot more comfortable doing it, and realizing that if I get a blob, there's a really cool suction tube. That's not the term. But what I like about this article is it gives you the terminology that you need when working with it. It's simplified. It gives you the terminology, shows you how to hold it, and it'll make you a lot more comfortable on just starting to do it. So I just felt it was out of all of the soldering resources that I found, I felt it was the simplest and most useful. So if you are going to venture into soldering, please just use this, read it. It's funny. And I think it's very informative, and it gives you the terminology, and it's not overly complicated. And I like simple things.
And
So,
also like the safety tips that are provided are really important. So yeah, safety first, y'all.
all right.
All right, passing the mic on over, Shannon or Anna.
No, I'm going to start now. So, as I said, our role at Texas Technology Access Program is not to do all the work because there's only a team of 5 of us. Our role is to connect people so that we're all working together. So you've just heard from Ben. Nathaniel's down in San Antonio. Ben's up in Fort Worth. But if we start connecting, one of our recent projects, Anna and I put some information together, and Ron Lucy is on the Texas Disabilities Committee, the Committee for Texans with Disabilities, and he's presenting that to the governor's board, because our goal is really to get TEA, Texas Education Agency, to include assistive technology in our CTE and our STEM programs, and even our library maker spaces. So we gathered information for Ron Lucy, and then Ron Lucy's presenting it. Now, we've been chipping away at Texas Education Agency for about a year. I try to keep sending them articles. So we're trying to be like just a little pest. And I think about the movie Shawshank Redemption, where he kept sending the letters, and they got tired of the letters, and so they finally sent him the books that he needed. So if you haven't seen that movie, I like that movie. But it was that power of persistence where we keep just keep chipping away. And eventually my goal is hoping that they will then now provide funding for that AT strand and start promoting some of that collaboration. And then that's where you, as the leaders in these maker spaces, will really come in handy, because we can be the ones that start really training teachers to Nathaniel, even in your space, bringing in teachers to teach them how to fabricate and make those prototypes and build some of that assistive technology. And you can really, in the idea is not only to do education, but that's a big push, because if we can start them in elementary, middle school. I have my nephew here already adapting toys, and he's going into 6th grade, and he loves it. He thinks it's really fun because his 3-year-old sister benefits and loves the Switch toys he's adapting. And so if he can take that into his middle school next year and start just making sparks, I think we can really grow together. So one of the most recent groups that I've discovered it's called the Maker Barn. And the Maker Barn is north of Houston in Montgomery County. It's a fabulous makerspace, all volunteers. They've got a full carpentry shop. They've got several 3D printers. They've got your CNC. They've got pottery. So it's a full maker shop. And I've started going to the electronics meeting every Wednesday night, and most of these guys are 60 to my age and older, and they want projects to do. And they found out about the Obi robot, and they found out about the guided hands. And they are already thinking of ideas. And Ken, I'm going to give them your Walker idea also. And then the benefit is Sujin Jang is now in Spring ISD. She used to work at the Education Service Center 4, Region 4. And there's another representative from Klein ISD who's really strong AT provider. And Sujin and or Spring and Klein are going to start collaborating, and we're going to partner them with Maker Barn. And these engineers are going to start helping Sujin, Spring and Klein ISD with some individualized projects. So it's really kind of, I think it's something I'm going to keep posting on, because if we can get and make this a model for what other maker spaces can do with schools, I think we can really set some good examples. So that's kind of our goal. And then HISD, they had Dr. Lee, and I don't see Dr. Lee on today. He's usually on, but when Dr. Lee left, he was worried about them losing the program. Well, they did reach out to me, and they are interested in continuing the AT strand that they've been doing. And HISD is the first school in Texas that actually approved an AT strand. So that's what's exciting about that. So this is just kind of emerging projects, emerging possibilities. And we share these because if you're in an area like Texas Technology or Texas Tech, we can start maybe trying to figure out what school might be the best to start developing some relationships there also. So, and in San Antonio, same thing. What schools are near you? Is there any possibility of building some connections? Because once you give these kids the tools with it, they take the ball and run with it and make things we would never even imagine. So that's kind of my little soapbox. Next slide. So this is the guided hands, and this is a video, and it's kind of cool. This is Sujin from Spring ISD. She was in Spring Branch, and she, at the very last 2 weeks of school, borrowed this guided hands for this little guy. This little guy has never held a pencil. You can see how his hand is kind of unique, and both hands only have one digit. And this is his first time using the guided hands at the end of the year. I wish we would have started earlier in the year. And so then she put in a request for the school to purchase one for him. But when I showed these videos to the engineers at Maker Barn, one of the problems with the guided hands with this little guy is he can't get to the bottom quarter. He can't get all the way down to the paper, so they have to kind of push the paper up. And so we're going to get some of the engineers to work on that for this guy so that they can help adapt it to make sure that it's really doing the best that it can be doing. So go ahead and show the video on him. Look at him using this. And this is assistive technology in action. Look at him. And then he starts scribbling, and you think about it, this is a kid who's never had an opportunity to scribble. And look at him go. And then it's like, oh, look what I can do. And then we go on to the next slide. I think here he is scribbling more because we've given him this free space and he's trying to write his name, but then look at all that scribbling he's doing. He's just having fun with it. And that's what it's all about. And it's that independence. That's what assistive technology does. So this is a kindergartner. He's going into first grade, and look at how messy that is. And that's so important because that little messy writing can be fine-tuned into some real control for him to do and write what he needs to write. So learning through scribble, AT in action. Okay, moving forward. And then I think, was I doing this one, Anna, or are you taking over here?
I was going to show the video, but I know you were going to touch on it a little bit, but I can show the video that she shared on Instagram.
Perfect. So Leander is another, we're starting to spotlight different programs so that you start seeing how broad assistive technology is. And so Leander took their, go ahead. Yeah, Leander took they got a grant at the beginning of the school year, and their grant was to make literacy kits. And literacy kits are important because many of our kids with significant disabilities don't have access to reading and writing. And so they got their engineering students to adapt toys that specifically go into the literacy kits to meet very specific needs in their districts. So they all came together at the end of the year and had a big maker day, and they put together these literacy kits. So Cece Fritz is out of Leander. She's been doing some phenomenal work. And she got this going. She's a force to reckon with in that district. Leander's doing some really good things. And here's the video that they put on their um, uh, which one is that? Which social media is that?
It's their Instagram profile.
Instagram. Yeah, so this is her. You can see I'm not the social media person. All right, go ahead, Anna.
Last fall, thanks to a generous grant from the Leander Educational Excellence Foundation, we set out to create inclusive literacy kits for speech language pathologists across Leander ISD. Our goal was to give students access to engaging literacy experiences through books, switch adapted toys, and sensory supports. Over the past year, this vision came to life piece by piece. We purchased books and materials and carefully prepared each kit with the students we serve in mind. The final chapter of this project was our Maker Day, where students from Leander ISD high schools came together to serve other students in our district alongside SLPs and other staff. Engineering students use their skills to adapt toys, while members of service organizations assembled backpacks, organized materials, welcomed volunteers, and helped make the day a success. This project would not have been possible without the support of LEAF, the dedication of our SLPs, and the incredible students who gave their time, talents, and hearts to this work. Together, we created more than literacy kits. We created opportunities for connection, inclusion, and learning that will impact students for years to come.
And that's what it's all about. So those are the kind of things that we're trying to grow. And it doesn't have to be any one of these exact programs but it's building those bridges. And it's once again, the unintended consequences of the relationships that ends up really coming out in these kinds of projects. All right, Anne, I'm going to send it to you now.
Okay, so we wanted to highlight the Makeable Challenge, which is a 3D printing and assistive technology design challenge from Print Lab. So the challenge began May 16th, and the deadline is next year, so May 15th, 2027. The goal is to design and make a 3D printed product or prototype that improves the day-to-day life of someone with a disability or even like an older adult. They then require you to share your story in like a 2 to 4 minute video submission. There's 3 different categories depending on age range. And then there's also prizes that are under consideration, but that will include 3D printers and other technology products for the winning teams. And then you can find more info about the challenge on their website. And then we can also make sure to share that in the chat. This is a little bit about what the site looks like. There's a video about the challenge. And then at the bottom, there's key information about that, like the cost and rules, time, everything.
Can I
So
say something real quick on that?
yes.
I was a judge for them this year, and so I got to see they put you in a category with 3 different better like words, layers to it. These students, what they have created was absolutely amazing. The thought they put into it and how hard they worked, it was so cool. I love seeing all the kids get out there and show their creativity and how they want to help.
Thank you for sharing that, Ben. Has anyone else participated in like makeable, not makeable, but just like a challenge before or used it with students or community groups? I'm just curious. No.
Ben, can you describe maybe a couple of the projects that you saw?
One of the projects I saw, they were fitting a shoe. Um, I'm gonna butcher. I'll do the best I can here. For a young man wanting to drive, but because of um, with CP, cerebral palsy, his one of his legs was shorter than the other, and he wasn't able to bend it correctly. So they were making an adaptive shoe for him so that he could drive independently and safely. Another one was a communication 3D printed box for an older lady who had cataract in both eyes, and it was so she could turn on her TV. She was having trouble with her remote control, so that way when she's home alone all day while the kids are at school and family's out, she could listen to her stories. There were several of them like that. Really just out of this world. Things like, why didn't I think of that?
Thank you. Okay.
And I think that's it right there. It's the why didn't I think of that? And I think sometimes as we age as adults, we start putting blinders on, and the kids don't have those blinders yet. So it's really amazing at some of the things that they produce. So thank you, Ben.
Hey,
Go ahead,
Shannon.
Anna. Yes.
Shannon, I would just add that why didn't I think of that? Well, in a lot of instances, it's because nobody knew the issue existed. So if there were just a list of, it'd have to be more than just a one-liner, but something describing a need. Oftentimes, uh, those some solution to that problem is kind of straightforward, but nobody considered it because they didn't know about it.
Right, right. And then to piggyback on that, Ken, once we know about it, then other people jump on and say, I could use that too. So it really, and once again, that's why I like having everyone here together, because look at all these great minds that can just grow together.
All right, so Nico shared in the chat, we added a few new resources to the Padlet. So one is the soldering document, which can be helpful for anyone working with any like electronics-based AT projects. And we also started a column for challenges. So if you come across a design challenge, an unmet need, a project idea, you can add it there for the group to see, since we're all able to access that. We'd love for the Padlet to be a shared space because that's the intent of it. So please feel free to add resources, projects, or questions anytime.
And if you're not sure how, you can send it to Anna, Nico, or me, and we can add it if you've got a resource that you think other people could benefit from.
Yes. And then we have 3 articles today related to accessibility, fabrication, makerspaces, and AT. So the first one, let's see. This first one is the New Jersey Institute of Technology, showcasing students that designed AT prototypes in a 1-day makerspace sprint. So essentially 6 teams worked on medical, transportation, and community-related accessibility challenges using CAD software, 3D printing, and electrical components. It's pretty relevant because it's similar to conversations we've been having around short term, like our design events or makeathons, and how students can build real world accessibility solutions like we've seen Leander do. And they actually highlighted a Teach Access review, finding that less than 3% of engineering and computing technology course descriptions reference accessibility or people with disabilities. And I thought that was important to highlight also. And then let me go ahead and add this to our chat. Oh, thank you, Nico. Got it. Okay. And then the next one is a UT Dallas article where the researchers created an AI tool to help sight impaired programmers in creating, editing, and checking 3D models in OpenSCAD. So I thought that was especially interesting because it shifts the conversation, from making AT for people with disabilities to making the actual maker tools more accessible for people with disabilities.
You have a link for that one?
Yes, Nico included the link, and I actually found they have their own website for this, and I'll put that in the chat. I kind of wanted to show a short video of what it actually looks like. And it's a GitHub, so it's all coding.
With the rise of accessible and affordable large language models, blind and low vision users can now independently tackle visually complex and creative tasks, such as image editing and programming, that once required sighted assistance. However, highly intricate visual spatial workflows, such as three-dimensional, 3D modeling, which usually involve complex visual interfaces and operations, are still challenging for BLV users. We introduce AliShape, an interactive system designed to help BLV users who possess basic programming skills understand, modify, and iterate on 3D models. AliShape consists of three main interactive panels. The code editor offers BLV users a fully accessible, standard text editing interface optimized for OpenSCAD code, including basic programming operations, a code writing area, an integrated error log for debugging, and a dedicated code changes list that displays code changes after manual modifications. The AI Assistance panel offers an always available input chat box where users can request information about their current model or solicit modifications through natural language. An AI feedback panel that structures LLM's responses into three distinct sections: a concise summary of changes, a detailed description of modifications per component, and a code change list. And finally, the history records panel chronologically saves all the interactions with the system for users to read records and restore to an endpoint. These three components serve an AI verification loop for model understanding and a robust version control system. Lastly, the model panel combines a hierarchical semantic structure that represents the model's internal structure with a 3D rendering panel that displays a model projection from a fixed angle, showing most parts of the model. AliShape's.
And then I wanted to highlight the end just because it's 4 minutes long.
With 4 BLV programmers. Each session lasted for 2.5 hours, including a tutorial and introduction in the first session, followed by a second session that guided the participants to replicate some 3D models, and a final session where they created something on their own with AliShape. As a result, they created a lot of unique 3D models, everything from rockets and robots to helicopters and circuit boards. From the study, we found that participants worked in small cycles of generating, verifying, and refining with the descriptions provided by the AI assistant. They leaned heavily on the hierarchical navigation and version history to locate and fix mistakes. They really appreciated it when the AI used real-world metaphors, which turned out to be essential for building spatial understanding. And finally, a trust-building process over time was observed. AliShape explores a new way of supporting BLV people in creative tasks, which also involve a lot of visual and complex operations. For more information and implementation.
And then I will, as I mentioned, share this in the chat if you're interested in looking at their website. And then the last article, this one looks at disabled young people's experiences of inclusion in a makerspace, sorry. So it really highlights that inclusive makerspaces aren't just about access to tools, they're also about belonging, choice, creativity, and just listening really to the experiences of disabled participants. So that feels really relevant to us because we want makerspaces and AT projects to be collaborative, not just something we design for people without their input or without them being involved in the process. And I really like all the articles together because they show different parts of the bigger conversation that we have, which is building AT, making maker tools accessible, and then making sure disabled people or people with disabilities are included as active participants in maker spaces. And then those will also be on the Padlet. And did anybody have any comments? Did any of these stand out to anyone? Any questions? Maybe even like a recent article that you've come across and you'd like to share at this time. Okay. So
I have one comment. I'll go back to that. The unintended consequences of all of these projects end up being the relationships that are established. And ultimately, as the world becomes more computerized, I think these sustaining relationships or building these relationships becomes even more important. Relationships have always been difficult for individuals with disabilities because they get isolated, not by their own choosing. And I think this really brings our students with disabilities, individuals with disabilities together with some of these makers. And if you even go back to Bruce Baker's work or some of these big engineers, their work started because they were sparked by that one individual that they found they could help. And we need to continue to create those relationships. So thank you. All right, back to you, Anna.
And then just moving on to Tech Intel. So this is an open space to share anything you've created, anything you're working on, anything you might even be stuck on, or you're just curious about. It doesn't have to be polished. It can just be a finished product or, like I mentioned, just a work in progress. Really anything you want to discuss or you want to explore. And you can unmute. You're also welcome to drop something in the chat.
Yeah, well, sure. So like I mentioned before, me and Adrian, is Adrian Huerta is we're both here from Handy Door, and it's the company we created about 8 months ago. Um, so what happened is I was in a car accident and I broke my femur and I had to get my hand reconstructed. Um, and during that time, I found that it was extremely hard to move in and around my house because of the doors. Um, it was an extremely lonely part of my life because I didn't go out much. Um, and I wasn't talking to people. I was really kind of isolated to my room because of the barrier of the door. But what that time did give me, though, was time to think about who else has this problem. So we went out and did some customer research, and we found that people with disabilities and elderly folks really have a problem with opening and closing their doors, especially when they use like mobility devices. So that's when we began to think about, okay, how do we make opening and closing doors in the home easier for those individuals? So if you don't mind, we've got a 12-second video just explaining about what our product does.
Yeah, I can give you access to if you want to share that. Let's see.
So just kind of an overview. Our
Great.
device, it's a door automation device that goes on the bottom edge of the door. And what it does is when you push a button on your walker, wheelchair, or cane, it'll open and close the door for you. So it's real simple. There's a wheel on the bottom of the door, and it has some fancy computer tech in there, but then it communicates with the remote, and that's how you open and close the door. So right now we're in like the prototyping stage. Like I mentioned earlier, like we're testing out things for like user compatibility, um, and like making the best product that we can. So I appreciate you guys letting me give my spiel.
And do you think that's something that could be combined with the Walker sensory proximity?
Yeah. So we're combining a lot of technologies right now. We want to make it so that the device mounted on the door knows exactly where the person is at all times. So that way the door doesn't close on them or it doesn't have a false positive. It's not opening randomly and it knows when they're outside the door. It also has like use cases to report to the loved ones of the people that are using the walkers, the wheelchairs, and the canes.
Nice.
To say like, hey, you know, uh, somebody hasn't opened their door in 2 days. Maybe we need to go check on them. Or hey, this door opened at 2 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't need to be happening. Like why? So it has a lot of different use cases uh, for the technology that we're using.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anyone else that would like to share any projects? Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I'm happy to at least tease something. So as when I was responding to the first intro page, besides saying Shannon was how I heard about this, which is probably universal for everyone. Um, my favorite tool right now is Claude Code. Um, I frown upon words like vibe coding, but I have been working with Claude now to do something that, first of all, I didn't think was possible for me anyway, and uh, and it's happening really fast. So I wrote a paper a couple of years ago on revolutionizing uh, augmentative alternative communication with generative AI, and I've seen a couple of attempts at doing that, and I'm talking about more than just um, enabling capabilities, but really driving the tool with with AI and and providing real-time conversations for people. So in the last 2 weeks, I've been working with Claude, and we're damn near there. And um, and the best part is that I wanted to do more than just provide a bunch of suggested responses, or even a bunch of suggested responses that were filtered based on knowledge of the user, but to put an engine in place in this tool that knew about conversation itself. So I basically gave some articles on conversation and analytics to Claude and said, consider all these concepts and build them into the architecture of this tool. And my God, it did it. Uh, I happened to be using the leading bleeding edge model that Anthropic was offering at the time, but now the government has shut down. Uh, Fable 5, I think, something like that. And and it's just amazing to me that it was able to do this, do it so well, consider things I hadn't considered myself, and just build those in. So right now I'm testing that conversation engine that's part of the architecture that, again, based on what you say, it doesn't, not just giving you a reasonable response, but categories of responses based on how you would like to control the conversation, how you would do it as a speaking individual. Uh, so it's scary how fast this is happening. I have a couple of SLPs who volunteer to help with this design. I'm really interested in trying to get somebody with conversational analytics or conversation analysis background. I don't know if anybody at University of Texas, Shannon, here's another help I'm looking for, would be interested in stepping up. This is free open source, so it's there's no money behind getting some consulting help here. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to show you something pretty solid, right? Like I say, right now it's a primitive interface just so I can step by step look at the states of the engine as we're going through fake conversations.
Thank you, Ken. And then I wanted to highlight Hannah's comment in the chat. And Hannah says, since bridging with the OTPT clinic, I've started also 3D printing writing aids as well. So this clinic has shared just some simple things that would make some things, make some of their patients' lives easier. So writing aids, cup holders that go on wheelchairs, pieces that go on wheelchairs, etc. All of which can be printed so that bridge happened. Cool. That's great to hear. And then also Jake shared a YouTube video. Do you want to go comment on that?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I got pulled away from the meeting for a bit there, so I missed a bit. But Yeah, I saw this. This got suggested to me in my algorithm the other day. This YouTube video about using Claude to, I guess, to get Fusion 360 to, make a 3D model for you. Leveraging Claude to be your intern essentially for modeling. I think in that case it was a chair. So anyway, just when Ken mentioned Claude, it made me think of that.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. A lot of stuff coming out with AI, especially. Um, and okay, anyone else? All right. So as we wrap up, we love to hear any final comments, questions, or ideas from today. Our next meeting is going to be July 21st, and we also wanted to flag Abilities Houston from July 31st through August 2nd. So our TTAP team, as some of us will be there. And then we also have our conference coming up that Nico mentioned earlier in the meeting. It's called Viva la Vida with AT, and it'll be here on the Pickle Research Campus, which I like to say is not on the chaotic downtown main UT campus. So the parking is not horrible. And that's going to be August 28th and 29th here in Austin. And then we also have ATIA, which is going to be next year again in Orlando at the end of January. So we'll continue adding updates and resources to the Padlet between meetings as well. And just a reminder that the Padlet is a shared space for Tamales. So there's resources, links, kind of like what you saw at the beginning, all kinds of materials. So the QR code is on the screen. And I know Nico also dropped it in the chat earlier, but we can do that again if needed. So like I mentioned, please feel free to add resources or revisit anything shared during previous meetings. And then we also have a shared box folder for articles that might not be open source or publicly shareable. So just a reminder that this folder is intended for group reference only. So please don't share those materials outside of this group unless they are publicly available. And again, the QR code's on the screen, and then we can add the link in the chat as well. And then we'll end with our usual teamwork reminder. So if everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself, which fits well because this work really depends on shared ideas and partnerships. And like Shannon mentioned earlier, just, all of our brains, all different perspectives, all different experiences, bringing that skills to the table. And of course, we still have that classic Mustang on the side as a reminder that some projects are long-term builds. So yeah. Then we have our, oh, go ahead, Shannon.
I have an announcement to make. While we were in this meeting, I was blessed with my great niece number 5. I'm keeping the other 4 alive. Ruby Elizabeth has joined the world, and she is absolutely beautiful. So my mission is accomplished. Now I've got until Friday to keep the other 4 alive. So mom can come back and retrieve them all.
Congratulations. That's exciting. I don't know how I'm going to go off of that, but our contact slide. So if you have any questions, like Shannon mentioned, you can reach out to me, her, or Nico. And then this is just our grant info slide. So who we're supported by. So thank you again for joining us today. We appreciate everybody for finding us. Nathaniel, thank you for joining and for sharing your short, video and your product. So we appreciate everybody being a part of this community. We hope to see you at the next meeting. And then I'm going to end the recording now. So thanks again, everyone.